Okay, I wanna just watch this video that I made of the latest status of me experimenting with vert. Currently I'm using the method where I'm tagging the faces that are vertical transition, and then I'm trying to stay on them when I'm in the air. When I'm in the air, I'm sort of casting a ray down, and if I'm venturing off of them, I try to redirect my movement vector and check if there would be vertical underneath that to make that stick to me. What I'm demonstrating here is that there are some problems, and that's if I jump off, or if it goes directly straight, it comes all the way off. Same thing earlier on here, there was an example exactly. And it's weird, it's the same status. Like if I jump early, I know I'm in over vert air, and I'm trying to align myself to it, but for some reason it doesn't. And if I do nothing, notice how I'm not crouched here, so I'm not jumping, it's auto jumping. I set up a system that if you exit vertical air, it sort of does an automatic jump. In that case, it aligns with the vertical transition under you. Here you can see, again, as long as you're not hitting it directly straight. If you hit it straight on, you're in bad shape. Again, here I'm demonstrating how rotating works well while you're in the air, and you can kind of do alley-oops. You can counter-rotate to the direction that you're moving and do kind of cool alley-oops, and you can rotate with it, and it looks and feels cool because you're getting like the extra 180-degree turn. And it does feel pretty satisfying to try to throw in some grabs with rotation. So I was trying to just feel out like the height, the general velocity and the gravity and the sort of boost jump that you get for jumping. And this is about what I'm looking for this game. Not trying to do anything really exaggerated and over the top like the Tony Hawk games. I am not trying to do anything that's sim or anything that's really sort of floaty, physicsy. For the point of this game is to be very sort of digital, classic arcade feeling, snappy kind of physics in air quotes. One of the things I'm demonstrating here is with this method that I'm doing is the more accurate that I make it as far as like keeping you on transition, then it doesn't allow gaps to happen. So I'm not rotating here, this is all just the logic. It's constantly looking for vert, so it decides that like, hey, it's better. And so it would take a fair degree of effort at this point. I mean, it's all stuff I could do, but to try to find like what the most appropriate thing that you're supposed to do in that case to try to make it work out. So already just with this approach, I'm seeing like a bunch of places where I'd have to start adding a lot of nuance that to me actually feels like a lot of hacks. Don't really like the idea of like trying to correct, and that's fundamentally what this does. Is it's just you're flying in the air and it's trying to correct your position to keep you over top of vertical transition. So to me that's reactive and open to bugs, right? It's just open to glitches and bugs because it's always constantly having to be reacting to possible situations and trying to come up with like the appropriate guess for what to do, because it sounds easy, like, oh, just look down and try to find vert and align yourself to it. And it's like, that's cool, like if your current vector is going to move you away from vertical, so what do? You check a little to the right, a little to the left. What happens if there's vertical in both places? What happens if there's none? Like how much do you keep looking in which direction? There's just a lot of potential bugs and nuances with this approach. Where it does feel good though, at least I'm happy that I've figured out some things in terms of like I said, like the general physics of like how floaty or how fast and snappy it would be. The other thing with this is that, as you can see, this general approach is, and I could kind of find ways to soften it, but it generally, although it allows you to arc, once you exit the ramp into the vertical air, you're essentially taking the exact same arc all the time. Like if you go really shallow, it still sends you up into a pretty tight arc, and if you go really tight, it still sends you into that same width arc. It doesn't make it a tighter arc. And then, like I said, if you go directly straight, it kind of gives up and you just leave and deck out. So it's getting there, but there's still like a lot of work to do, like I said, and I don't feel like this direction it just feels like it'll be endless futzing to be essentially, it feels like hacking. It just feels like I'm hacking around possible errors and just lots of possible situations where it would be just unknown behavior, just so many possible nuances. So yeah, so I'm not sure if I'll continue in this direction. Like I said, there's a lot to it, especially, like I said, I don't like that it brings me back no matter what, all the way back. To correct all the time, it ultimately brings me back to like landing on the ramp completely perpendicular. I would rather keep my arc. So yeah, so I mean, back to the beginning here. Yeah, so I think I'm going to, we'll see, I'll live with it, I'll poke around with it a little more for the rest of the day and the night. And then I think maybe tomorrow I'll try the approach where instead, hopefully, let's make sure here. Anyway, yeah, where instead there will always be a rail, you know, that's placed on the lip of all vertical, because you're going to be able to grind it also, any kind of like pronounced edge like this. You're going to expect a rail to grind. So since there will be a rail there, I'd like to try my other approach, which I've been considering doing, which is more, as soon as you jump off of any geometry that's tagged as vertical, then what it's going to do is look for a rail, the closest rail to you, which should in all cases always be the lip rail, and then basically just begin, like, lerp you to that as if you were grinding it, but maintain your vertical velocity. So essentially, you know, like your lateral velocity will get shifted to move along the rail, just as if using the same logic from grinding, except your actual vertical position will be obeying like whatever your current vertical velocity is. So essentially, you know, you'd be coming up this ramp here and you just bang, start moving along this rail. But since you had some vertical velocity, you will go up and down in a nice arc and then land on this rail. The problem is, like, I want to then, when you land, I have to take you out, you know, like you can't still be moving in the direction of the rail at that point. When you land, I need to sort of reflect your actual facing direction onto this surface and, you know, move you in that direction. But in any case, yeah, so I feel like that is just more precise. It's not reactive. It's in full control all the time of your position and what's going on. And that would be more appropriate for me, for just how I like to develop and what I'd like to work with. I just feel it'll be a little less bug prone, a little more deterministic, like things should behave more exactly the same all the time, whereas this current approach that I have, there's a lot going on. Like I said, it's always just reacting. You're in the air and it's just trying to correct you. So there's just, feels like there's endless opportunity for bugs. Versus this other thing, like I said, which is just feels much more deterministic and absolute. Like every time you jump, you know, off vert, it looks for the rail, then it moves you along, you know, lerps you to, you know, along the rail, and then moves you along it, and but like I said, maintains your vertical position by using your current vertical velocity. And then, yeah, like when you return to vert, you would just exit moving along the rail, and then, like I said, I would need to then project your facing vector onto the transition, so you don't just move horizontally again along the lip, but on the rail, but on the transition. So yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I'm happy I made it this far. It's been good to be able to actually play a bit of vertical. I'm not sure when I went into the bowl here, before or after. Yeah, here we go. Oh, where was it? Oh, well, I don't know. In any case, yeah, bowl is just not working so great. It even has more trouble, where sometimes it's fine, and then a lot of times it'll just kind of deck out because you end up completely perpendicular, and I just haven't quite handled that situation yet. So yeah, it's cool. I'm happy, like I said, I'm happy with the progress. I'm glad where I've gone. I'm rambling now, sorry. But I wanted to kind of demonstrate and just talk about, like, yeah, what I've been up to, how and why I've been, you know, using this approach, where I've gotten with it, what my concerns are, and the next approach I'm going to sort of explore that I feel is really the one I'm going to be sticking with. So we'll see. So I'll try to share some progress soon on that. And we'll see how it goes. Alright, see you.